Good evening students. Welcome back to another class on Fusion Academy. Today let's start with vanishing factor. Now obviously this isn't a topic where your school starts off. Normally they start the factorization chapter by taking out commons, then going to middle term factorization and ultimately coming up to Sridharacharya. But as of now we will skip those easy topics. Maybe we will cover them later. To know that, stay tuned on our channel. But as of now, let's cover the topic that you get most confused about. So what is actually vanishing factor? Vanishing factor, obviously we are not going to vanish anything. We are going to break down this equation or any sort of equation that has a degree 3 into smaller parts. Now how is it done? There are two steps in doing this. First is the trial and error method. We use this method to find out the first factor of this equation. Now obviously you're going to think that how many factors we are going to have in this equation. Since the highest power of x is 3 here, we are going to have 3 distinct factors. They may be equal, they may be not, they may be imaginary, they may be negative. Let's find out what happens in this equation. But as of now, for the very first factor, let's try with the trial and error method. Now what is this method? Trial and error method. As the name suggests, we are going to put certain values, we are going to try. If there is an error, then we'll discard that option. If there is not an error, then that particular number will be our first. Way we generally start with, or rather put to plus minus 1. If the answer doesn't come, let's try with plus minus 2, and we shall continue as long as we don't get a particular root. As of here equal to 1, we can see that 1 cube we will get 1 minus 23 into 1 square, that is 1, that is minus 23, plus 142 minus 120. Now this entire thing is coming as in algebra. We know a thing, that if we are considering a single number as a factor, putting that value in the given equation will always equate it to 0. Since we are already getting 0, then we can equal to 1 factor of. Now since x equal to 1 is the factor, we are getting 1 as a factor. So since we have already got x minus 1 is a factor of the equation, now we will start by leaving the second line empty. We will sort that out as we move on to the sum, and on the third line we are going to write x minus 1 3 times. Now why 3 times? Because the highest power of x is 3 here. Now let's start equating it to the question. What should we multiply here in order to get the first term of the question? We need to multiply it by x square. Now since we are multiplying it by x square, we will start filling out the second line with this. X square into x we get x cube, and x square into minus 1 we get minus x square. Similarly, in order to equate this second line with the first line, we need minus 22x square more, so that this entire thing sums up and comes up to minus 23x square. Now in order to bring minus 22x square here, we need to multiply this second part with minus 22x. Since we are multiplying this part with minus 22x and minus 1 will get multiplied as and become plus 22x. Now since we are getting here plus 22x, but we had plus 142x here, we need more 120x. So here we are going to multiply with plus 120, and the remaining part that comes is minus 120. So what we are doing here, instead of the usual method of middle term factorization where we break the constituents, break the components into smaller factors and then factorize it, vanishing factor method works the reverse way. We are going to break it into smaller components by using the one factor that we have got by trial and error method. So this entire thing will equate to the given equation if you calculate it, as the calculation is not needed to show anymore, and it will be obviously it's seeming like that you have broken it into smaller components and then you are proceeding on with the sum. But this is the usual way, this is the proper way, the correct way to do this kind of sums. So now here we have already got x minus 1. And by taking the common factors out here, we are getting x square minus 22x plus 120. Now this portion here is a quadratic equation, as you already know it. You can solve it by middle term factorization, you can solve it by Sridharacharya's formula, it doesn't matter anymore. Fact is, from this part onwards, we are going to get two more factors, x minus 10 and x minus 12. Whether you do it by middle term, whether you do it by Sridharacharya, you are going to get the same answer. Choice is up to you on whatever marks it is carrying in the question. So For a power of equation 3, for a degree of equation 3 where the power of x is 3, we are getting 3 distinct values or 3 distinct roots of x. So what are the answers? Here we can say that x's values are 1, 10 and 12. So this is how vanishing factor method works, and the way we reached from this equation to these two factors, that is x minus 10 and x minus 12, which could be followed by either middle term or Sridharacharya. Stay tuned on our channel, as we'll be back with 2 more videos explaining on these 2 distinct topics on how to arrive from a quadratic equation into its distinct roots, 2 distinct roots by these 2 processes. Anyways, so let us know in the comments how was this topic, if I could make this vanishing factor method easier for you all, and if you are still liking my videos, you like my way of teaching, then subscribe to our channel, like and share this video, and we'll definitely be back with these 2 topics very soon.